Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Live from the GBM studios in Belize City, it's Open Your Eyes. Start your morning right with your hosts, April Martinez and Isani Caetano.
Good morning and welcome to Open Our Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I am Isani Caetano.
And I'm April Martinez. Good morning and good morning, Isani.
Good morning, April. It is Monday,
It is
May
Monday
4th.
after the long weekend. I left you in April.
Yes, and you met me in
I
May.
met you in May.
How did you survive this weekend scorcher?
I stay home. I did not do the things. I did not go outside. Nope. It was too
But
hot.
hey, check this out. But I understand that Belmopan was the hottest place on earth this weekend, right?
Literally and figuratively, yes. But we'll get into that, with things we need to know.
101. All right, hey. These are our topics for this morning, guys. We're going to be joined by the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry to discuss the cost of living versus your income. It's a conversation you don't want to miss, right? And then we're going to be joined by a career journalist who was with us over the weekend to discuss journalism with impact. And then we're also celebrating the International Day for Women in Maritime. And of course, our other topic is celebrating 25 years of the National Health Insurance, right? NHI. And lastly, the Southern Emergency Services will be joining us to discuss life skills that save. So those are our 5 topics for this morning's show.
It's a very diverse set of
Yes.
conversations that we'll be having this morning, so you don't want to miss that. And so once again, good morning, folks. Here are some things that you need to know before you leave your homes this morning. As we were discussing just now, it was the National Agriculture and Trade Show that happened over the weekend. This was the first time in a long time that it happened for 3 consecutive days since the Friday was a holiday, right? So people were out and about in my hometown on the city of Belmopan. But with all the hustle and bustle, we also did report on a weekend fatal road traffic accident.
There were several
of them,
yeah.
yes, indeed. The third conversation for this morning, 80% of Caribbean journalists are burnt out, and we're going to have a discussion about journalism. Isani is a journalist. I admire the art of journalism, and so I can't imagine 80%. I would feel like that number is much higher, right?
We'll get into it.
We'll get into it and much more. Just speaking of journalism, the University of Belize's Prize for Investigative Journalism also took place over the weekend, and so kudos and congratulations to those recognized and, of course, the winners. Your dollar isn't stretching as far as it did last March. Remember, we were talking about inflation. We've been talking about inflation. There's so many wars happening around the world. So is it really a surprise that our economy is kind of taking a turn? So I want to get into all of that and more. But yes, Isani, there's a lot of things happening over the course of the weekend. I did not go to Nats. I did not. I am one of those Belmopan people who say everybody go to Belmopan, and I close my door. I don't go outside.
What's your reason?
Because I think that, well, one, it was very, very hot. It was like over 101 or 2 degrees in Belmopan over the weekend, and because Belmopan is like a basin, everything sits and it just stirs, and it's too much heat for me. And I would love to enjoy something like, the dog show and the rodeo and all of those things, but not in that is heat, man. I can't do it.
I get you. Yo, look, I can't recall the last time that I actually attended an agric show.
Not even for reporting, like
way back in the days.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm pretty much done with reporting like that, right?
Yeah.
But I respect the idea of having this annual event. I don't know that we've ever missed one, perhaps maybe during COVID, I don't know, but it's been from I was a child, there's been a National Agriculture and Trade Show, right? And some would argue that it has changed shape
Over the
course of the past several decades, right? Where it was primarily only about agriculture, right? Cattle, horses, plants, things of that sort. Now, it includes a little bit of everything, right? Which is good.
Yeah.
But like you, I can't handle that heat. I'm sorry.
I will say that I've enjoyed the Kalgabata. Somebody please correct me if I'm pronouncing that correct. The horse parade around the city of Belmopan. I know that that's the second year in a row. Cabalgata, yes, thank you. And I love seeing that, right? The young boys, the young cowboys that are parading the horses. I love watching that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
The rodeo was an all-time favorite. My dad and my brother went. You know, I used to love the largest pumpkin competition and the largest this. Like, those are the things that I was interested in. I think that they're trying to bring those things back. But I also saw that there was like a tribute to some of our cattle ranchers that have fallen and have passed away since last year. And when I was thinking about it, I had this conversation with my dad. We're not seeing many people go into that business, the younger people going into that business as much. We're kind of seeing, you know, older folks take advantage of this sort of career.
That's an interesting thing,
I haven't
most
seen
young
them.
people go in a call center before they go to a farm. Right?
Yes. I was very surprised. That's why I was very happy to see some of the younger boys, you know, riding the horses and stuff, but you don't see many. And I think that's I don't know, maybe do some journalism and now one day, Sonny. You know, why? Why is it that we're seeing more of our people go into like a call center before they go into agriculture or cattle farming, you know?
That's an interesting conversation to have, right? Just since we're dishing, right? Just before I left home to come to work this morning, I looked at my 7-year-old son and I asked him, what do you want to be when you grow up? I always ask him that, right? And he has been steadfast in saying he wants to be an engineer and a farmer.
He can be both.
No, that's what I'm saying. He wants to be an engineer and a farmer, right? But it speaks to the idea of you know, wanting to experience that rural life, right? Being on a farm or being on a ranch and dealing with animals and plants and stuff like that, right? But I think it's something that we need to instill in our kids from very early, that there is nothing wrong with having an alternative livelihood to being in an office somewhere doing the kind of work that requires you to be indoors or what have you. Nothing wrong with being outside and dirty your hand on the soil and different things of that sort, right? But yes, that agric. Let's move on, right?
And let us know in the comment section if you got the agric. What was your experience like? I really would like to know. Let us know in the comment section below. But yes, Desani.
All right. So while we're on the topic of the agric though, I do note, however, that there were several accidents over the weekend, right? And they resulted in a loss of life, which, like, I can't stress this enough, April, right? Because we're always here talking about, you know, the responsibility that we bear as motorists, pedestrians, cyclists, people who use any roadway. We all have a responsibility not only to ourselves, but to others who are also using the highways, the roads, streets, etc., right? And so when I saw a very graphic image on, I think it was Saturday night, right? With 2 persons who died in one of these crashes, I was like, man, when do we learn? When does this message actually resonate with us as drivers or cyclists or etc., right? And you look at the amount of people who were injured in this one particular incident. And then there was another one last night as well. I don't know if there were any fatalities with that one, but it sent multiple people to the hospital as well, right? Why are we racing? Why are we not abiding by the traffic regulations? What is so difficult? My argument is always this. When me going, not going Fande.
Yeah.
Right? So for argument's sake, if I'm headed to Belmont Pan is not going to move from where it is, right? But that's just how I see it.
Yeah.
Other people, I don't know. I don't know what guides their decision making when it comes to being on the road and not caring for their lives or the lives of others. I really don't know.
I agree, Sonny. I mean, better late than never, right? I know that it's very cliche, but it does make sense. I think like the ways that we are going about, I'm not sure if it's just carelessness, if we're really trying to get to a particular place on time, but it doesn't matter. We should be cautious of our lives and the lives of other people on the road, especially on certain highways where right now they're doing a lot of road construction.
Yeah.
Right? So we do have to bear caution. And of course, we're going to be keeping you all updated on these accidents and fatalities. And of course, we might have an update in our news at noon later on today.
Yes. All right, so we're going to jump into the last item and then we're coming up back, right? So we're talking about the power of the dollar, right? And the fact that what we were able to purchase and consume last year isn't the same this year, right? And so it's a conversation where everybody always have about cost of living and everything, right? And I think one of the interesting things in all of this is that most political parties, well, the big two, right,
Yeah.
campaign on addressing this perennial issue of costs going up and your income or your wage add up to how much they spend and how much the cost of things, right? And we're here once again where we deal with this whole thing that Iran with the United States. So they'll say, well, you know, we never planned for that. So that's an exigent circumstance. We're dealing with that.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, if I could have paid for something last year and was comfortable with getting back some change, you pay for that same thing this time around. Look, I was talking to Sabrina on Thursday, Wednesday or Thursday. We were discussing the whole issue of the ramen noodles, right?
Yes.
And I ran a joke with her and I said, look, just for the purpose of coming to the morning show that Thursday, I went to the store the night before and I bought my ramen noodles and my chicken sausage, right? And I gone there with 5 bills, $5, right? And I was expecting some change, and I was like, okay then.
A ramen that what?
The chicken sausage alone.
Yeah, like
right?
$2.50.
So I was like, well, okay then.
Yeah.
But it speaks directly to what I'm saying, right? Yesterday's prices aren't today's prices. Fat Joe famously said that, right? And it's true. It's true. Now, when we speak with our public officials, we speak to the Prime Minister, we speak to members of his administration, and they can't seem to get a handle on it. But then the average person, the everyman, feels it when they go to the grocery store, feels it when they go to the pump, feels it when they go to the hospital or wherever else they're seeking services.
I find that we don't necessarily have policies in place or policies that are enforced that will prevent price gouging. We don't have monitoring across the country to say.
But do you believe that it's price gouging?
I guess it's not. I got 2 child on my street. If I go buy the tin sausage that one A and B $2, and the sausage down the next street and be $2.25. Okay, and it's the same tin sausage. So not tell me no. And then of course the further down you go down, wherever the cargo goes into, perhaps maybe Toledo or Stan Creek,
I could understand.
The prices go up.
Yeah, I could understand that, right? The farther away you have to travel to deliver the good, the cost is expected to go up. That I could reason with. But again, it's just my own opinion. I don't know that it's actually price gouging as it is everything just gone up.
Everything just gone up. Our paychecks don't go up, and that's the thing that I would want. It doesn't matter who's in power, right? You don't control the salary that everybody gets. So saying we're going to get a handle on this tells me then that you're going to get a handle on the taxation of the imports that come in, or you're going to get a handle of how much we import, or you're going to get a handle of how much we export, because we still have majority of the things that we have, we import. Even the Maritime, where you love so much, right?
I mean, we've long held that Belize imports more than it exports, right? And so because of that, when you look at the cost of doing business or trade in this instance on the regional or the world market, whatever goes up out there immediately and directly affects us here because we're bringing it in at cost.
Okay, but here's my devil's advocate. Do we really need 5 options of tin sausage on the shelf?
Yeah.
Why?
Because variety is the spice of life.
But variety is the spice of life for whose benefit?
Okay, but if you're operating at various price points, then I could understand why variety is necessary. I don't know that I'll use your argument, right? I don't know that when I go to a store, I'm only looking for picnic sausage as opposed to Grace chicken sausage or any other.
But you wouldn't have known
I prefer
that you wouldn't have known there were options if it was there, and if it was something that you never necessarily need, you never may have to buy. A lot of the foods that we import and our canned foods and Russian foods and everything, that stuff you always need to eat, and it's not always healthy for you either.
So having one brand, right, with one agent, it's arguable that you're creating a monopoly that's not necessary either.
It's not necessarily a monopoly, Sonny, because
if we use what you're saying, your rationale, right? You use the same chicken sausage, right? Importers are basically agents for a particular brand, right?
Right.
So if I say Grace then, all right, let's say Grace, right? If Grace is the only one that can bring in the chicken sausage, so you're saying we don't need all of the other options, no variety, only Grace. Doesn't that create a monopoly on chicken sausage if that were the case?
I'm just trying to find solutions for the amount that we import, right? Because we not necessarily might not be able to produce tin chicken sausage, but we could produce sausage, and it kind of gives us the leverage of that competition that we're trying to meet in the market.
Yeah.
Because I find that the only reason why we go towards those products is because they are quote unquote cheaper than the stuff that we produce here. But the stuff that we produce here, we also have to outsource and so forth that are heavily on tax and so on. And therefore the stuff that we have to produce here, we have to price higher, and it can't compete with the cheaper things on the market, right? So I'm just trying to state that we can create our own market niches here where we don't have to continue to rely on imports.
Well, so there's this another argument, right? Where it concerns economies of scale, right?
Yeah.
So
the great word, economies of scale.
No, so if you look at the cost of manufacturing locally, perhaps each one of those inputs or ingredients in this case comes at a certain cost to bring into the country or to supplement whatever it is that you're working with, right? So by the time you don't manufacture the item and you add up everything that you put in there, and the cost of all of those parts, so to speak, it don't lay up there. Yeah. Versus if you bring in 6-7 container of wholesale, it's cheaper. Yeah. Right? So you have to look at it that way too.
So then solution for me this viewers, because we not reach a point right now. We agree we are there all morning. But what would you suggest would be something to ease the cost of living for us here in Belize? You know, we already produce a lot of things, and I don't know how many of us realize.
But we always talk about, Belize could be the bread basket of the Caribbean and a whole bunch of different things. Yeah, the potential is there.
Yeah.
Whether or not there is the will, whether or not there is the interest in terms of, like you said, other people seeking alternative lifestyles to working in an office or in a classroom or wherever else, right?
Yeah.
So it will be the bread basket. We need farmers. We need people who are good with their hands, right? Not only, people who are behind a keyboard or, that's the only way we could realize that, by actually having people in the field doing that kind of work.
There's a comment in our section here by Louise Raimundo, and she says, "Morning, in Belmopan, things are more expensive than Cayo, and they reach Belmopan first."
Well, that's an excellent point she's raising, right? I think that's one for the Statistical Institute of Belize to discuss the next time we meet with them, right?
No, but it's true, because if we're saying, you know, the further down things go, we can expect that it will be more expensive. But Belmopan is the place of higher cost of living than anywhere else in this country. Is it because it's a university city? Is it because all the government offices are there? What is the reason, right?
But here's the thing, right? We're going to have that extended conversation with the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, right? So my final point, right? So we were discussing journalism and 80% burnout and the awards over the weekend and everything. To me, all right, we celebrated World Press Freedom Day yesterday. We commemorated that day, right? So when we led our newscast on Friday, it was in honor of all of the journalists who are out here doing their best to be able to inform our public, right? And in this case, the country of Belize and all of its citizens, right? So for me, what journalism means is, one, it's a labor of love for me. When I decided that I wanted to be a journalist, I knew that, okay, passion has to lead.
Can I ask you why you chose journalism?
That's an excellent question. I guess as a child growing up, I enjoyed reading and writing, right? And so it came natural. So that when I had a decision to make post sixth form,
that was the
I
choice?
just realized, you know what, I don't want to go into a field that I have to work twice as hard at learning it or understanding it. Whereas I already have what we call the rudiments, right? The basic stuff.
Yeah.
And then that's what guided me in that direction. But again, it's just to, recognize all of the journalists out in the field that are doing the work on a day-to-day.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Isani. And of course, thank you to all of our journalists here in Belize and abroad that have put in the work. I think that I speak for all of us, and of course, shout out to Paul Lopez for his recognition in his award for the investigative journalism over the weekend. I think that we are in an era, Isani, where there are not many of you, right? I think in Belize particularly, we take for granted that we don't have many journalists in here, and the amount of work that goes into you guys getting the story, making sure that it's available for us at 6 p.m. so that we can know what's going on out there. I don't think we understand how much work gets placed into that. And in Belize, we're such a small country, right? We would think that, you know, the news is out there all the time, but we do take, I take very good, I think I take lessons from you guys when I sit on the couch and I listen to you guys and how you speak, and sometimes Isania correct me for my grammar, because he's like tedious when it comes to those things, right? He can't turn it off. But you know, we just want to say thank you so much for all the hard work, and of course, thank you to all of you for viewing with us every single day. We want to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to jump into our first conversation with the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry on this exact same point of cost of living versus income.
In the heart of the Cayo district, Calico Jacks is proving that sustainability and success can go hand in hand.
When Calico Jacks wanted to move to solar energy, the biggest difficulty for us was the finance. Belize Bank believed in our vision, and we are very happy and grateful that they gave us this opportunity for the financing.
Through the Credit Risk Abatement Facility, a partnership between Belize Bank and the CARICOM Development Fund, small and medium businesses can access financing for renewable and energy-efficient solutions with reduced collateral requirements.
Here at SCSB, we're grateful for Belize Bank to make it easy for our clients to go green. We're proud to work with businesses like Calico Jacks to help them lower their costs and their carbon footprint.
At Belize Bank, we are powering Belize's transition
to renewable energy, one business at a time. Together with our partners, we're making sustainable financing accessible for all.
Belize Bank, financing a greener, stronger Belize.
Some hands do more than carry. They prepare, they fix, they comfort. They keep a home moving in ways few people notice. And even when the day is done, they are still thinking of home. For the months of May and June, we celebrate the hands that hold the home together, offering you 25% off on tiles, lights, fans, ACs, gardening supplies, and more, both in-store and online. Thank you, moms and dads, from Builders Hardware.
Belize wakes up connected to opportunity. And across our country, the work to keep Belize connected continues. SMART continues expanding our network across the country, bringing stronger coverage to more communities. With recent service enhancements in areas at Blue Creek and Progresso, Belize City, Orange Rock, and more on the way. We're bringing education closer to home, empowering entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, supporting industries that drive our economy, and keeping families connected wherever life takes them. With every expansion, we are investing in the infrastructure that moves Belize forward. Because connection isn't just about signal, it's about opportunity, progress, and the future we are building together. SMART, bringing people together.
Electricity is essential for everyday life, but behind every outlet, a lot is happening to bring you safe, reliable, and sustainable energy. Let's start at the beginning. Independent power producers across Belize generate electricity using a mix of renewable and non-renewable resources. Electricity travels across a network of high-voltage transmission lines capable of transmitting electricity across long distances. Electricity then reaches your nearest substation, where it is adjusted to a lower voltage, making it safe to travel on the distribution lines you see in your community. From there, electricity makes its final journey from the distribution lines to your home, providing you with safe and reliable power when you need it. Belize Electricity Limited. We continue to serve you.
We at Fulltech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Fulltech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy 8. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
And welcome back. Joining us for our first conversation this morning is the president of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, none other than Giacomo Sanchez.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
And we're going to be discussing, as we mentioned prior to the commercial break, the cost of living versus income and whether we as Belizeans can keep up with these rapid changes, you'd say?
Yeah, rapid changes, rapid prices.
Good morning once again. Good morning once again.
Yeah.
Before we get into the conversation proper, I understand that there was a new board for the BCCI based on elections, is it? On last Thursday. Can you speak on that for us?
Oh, yeah. We had our 105th annual AGM, was rather successful, and coming out of that, we have a newly constituted board, with yours truly being the president, of course. Our secretary of the board is Ashanti Martin. Our treasurer is Mr. Marcelo Blake. Our vice president of industry is William Usher. Vice president of commerce is Jody Williams. Vice president of services is Norika Gomero. And our councillors returning would be William Neal, no stranger to you guys, and Louis Ogarte. And our new members to the board would be Bruno Coppinger, coming out of Punta Gorda, Claudette Elters, and Norman Duick.
All right.
Awesome.
Congratulations to the
them.
new board.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, I just want to publicly welcome them, our new members, at least at this time.
No problem. All right, so let's jump back into the conversation then. Belizeans are grappling with what we consider to be a very high cost of living, right? But it doesn't seem as if though our wages are measuring up to the amount that we're actually spending week to week, month to month, or whatever. Let's start there.
Yeah, so if you were to ask the private sector, they would say, well, we're also under the private sector, investors and businesses, they would say that they're under pressure too, because their margins are thinning, and the cost of business is going up, particularly in terms of inputs. And so the cost of delivering products and services increasing. Yes, the stability of wages has been there for some time, and it varies in the private sector, while in the public sector, of course, you know, that's fixed with government intervention from time to time, if and when there is a increase in salaries for the public sector. Right. But in the private sector, it varies, and so and I think to get a better appreciation, we would need to go sector by sector to see how it. I don't intend to go into details on each sector. However, take for instance, two of the foremost sectors that stands out would be in the tourism, and of course the BPO, and there's where a struggle in terms of actual manpower from one leaving and exiting to the other, being into the BPO sector. That's good news and bad news in terms of the BPO sector, being that it soaks up a lot of the unemployment that would otherwise have been there. However, it is putting the lack of additional personnel that you would need in the tourism sector is just not there. And so that's where the struggle is right now. Yeah. But I mean, fortunately for those who are employed, I think they have seen a better, just in general, just anecdotally to standard of living, so to say. But I think to your question, it is true that across the board we're not experiencing a great deal of increase in wages to complement the rising costs of cost of living in Belize. And given the issues with the war, that it hasn't put us in any better position in that it's artificially increasing, and I think it's across the world, increasing the cost of living.
When you look at the increase in minimum wage fairly recently, for those who would be moving up from $5 to $6 an hour, right? Against the cost of items on the shelf. It's almost as if though while one went up, the other went up as well. So it feels as if though it's still out of reach for some of us, even though we've seen a dollar increase in the cost in the hourly rate.
Yeah, to that point, I believe optimally, if the wage per hour was somewhere around $8, that would be kind of optimal in terms of keeping up with inflation. But I mean, we're nowhere near there, and we're not suggesting that it gets there. But with the recent increase to the $5 mark, looking back, it had almost a negligible effect on the economy overall, being that most people in majority of sectors were already above that $5 per hour.
Yeah. Do we have a diverse job market in Belize that we could analyze to say that some of the wages are sustainable for the high cost of living?
If we were to pair them one off against each other, no. There's not that singular comparison because it varies in the private sector. It all depends.
Yeah. And if I could just kind of follow up on that question, if you have the numbers, and I know we're hoping that our policy analyst can come in soon.
Yeah, he has all the details.
But do most of these private sectors, their employees, are they in the tax bracket where they're able to make enough for the year that they pay taxes? Because that bracket has decreased, if I understand right. If you now reach like what, 29,000 for the year, then you don't pay tax.
Yeah, but it would have increased because it went from about 26 to 29,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So quite a bit of our employed persons, I think, lies within that range, and so they wouldn't be impacted, and so there is some relief. It's when you jump above that 29,000 annually, then the 25, you get hit with that 25%.
Here's a question for you based on a conversation that April and I were having moments ago, right? About the cost of manufacturing locally versus the cost of importing wholesale, right? In terms of the idea that for some, they would see it as perhaps cheaper to produce something here versus being able to buy in large quantities that same item and bring it into the country. In terms of doing business and being able to manufacture, what are some of the challenges that you see from your perspective as the Chamber of Commerce?
Quite interesting. I believe the best way to kind of characterize is, in Belize we've always been lagging behind in terms of economies of scale. We just don't have the numbers. And so that has a direct impact in terms of the cost of local production. I don't think we've moved away from that. In some sectors where you hear of folks trying to export items, so in beef, for instance, that is being exported.
Yeah.
Chicken, I think there was a move to do some exports recently. And so if you combine those, it can possibly work, but the cost of the grain, for instance, that goes in terms of getting that to in poultry to animals, that cost went up.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, something as basic as that increases the cost of production, and so it makes it make you less competitive.
Yeah.
And so, I think for a while, and going into the future, that the way our agriculture and poultry and so on is structured, we will be lagging behind in terms of economies of scale, and I think that's a core where more often than not you can import stuff, bring it in and at a cheaper rate, but the quality is what I imagine would definitely stand out.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if we look at what we can create locally is a bit in terms of quality better than what some of the items that are mass produced elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, even if
and just quickly, I just need to give a plug because I think I know we just had Agric this past weekend.
Yes.
But in a couple of weeks, 2 Saturdays from now, I think 16th of May, the BCCI is having its Made in Belize Expo at the Agric in Domopan.
Yes.
Let me leave it at that.
It's on the Ring Road.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, there we'll see the end product of what Belize can produce.
I mean, just speaking of our Belizean producers and entrepreneurs, apart from what is brought in wholesale, like we were discussing, when we speak to some of the entrepreneurs, they'll say things to me like, April, it's the packaging, it's the plastic and the resources to just put it in a bag or put it in a box that item is what makes the product more expensive.
That is true, because you could bring the product up to a 90% completion, and then that 10% being this packaging and so on. That cost, depending on where you're sourcing it, and the quantity within which you're getting it, makes it less. At least makes you as an entrepreneur or creator of some product less competitive.
How is it that we, because I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong in terms of where we import the most from. I'm not sure if it's within Central America or the United States itself, but why import from a place where it's double what it's worth for us whenever we go over there to buy?
Comparatively speaking, when it might, on the surface it might seem like that. However, when you do the conversion to our local dollars, it is actually cheaper, because then there's not the layering. If it's done on an individual basis, so there's not the custom duties and all that tacked on. But I mean, if you're a formal importer, all that gets added, and by the time the product lands in Belize, that's where it substantially increases. Not to mention, we have the influence of the rising fuel prices. I mean, that has a far-reaching effect across all sectors in terms of production. Simply, I mean, we have the issue with the bus folks. Why? Because their fares are fixed, but fuel keeps rising, and so there's a rub there. And I guess between the industry and the government is trying to get that normalized, so to speak.
Well, as of today, as of this morning, the cost of a bus ticket to wherever you're traveling in this country has gone up, right? And
indeed,
it seems as though they finally agreed on a formula, but that's a different conversation, right? That's an entirely different conversation.
But that formula again is dependent on how much the commuter also has to pay. So when we're talking about these prices and the cost of living and the increase, and I know we're talking about taxation and all of that, how much does our economy rely on the taxes and so forth that is implemented on the persons that have to pay taxes, or that persons that are in or within the tax bracket?
If we were to segue more specifically on, say, the cost of fuel, the excise, we know that that's a fixed number. So if government holds that to a certain amount, but where the government benefits is on essentially the GST, because then that's flexible. So each time the barrel of oil goes up, it impacts us directly. The trick is for us to monitor and keep a watch on when the barrel of oil goes back to pre-war prices. Is our fuel prices dropping the same and at the same time?
That's the fundamental question that I have, and I believe a lot of Belizeans are also thinking the same thing, right? I keep saying that the law of gravity is fairly simple, right? What goes up must come down. But when we look at fuel prices...
When was the last time you paid $8 for a gallon of fuel, is my question.
Well, it's unfortunate that on the government side that we're not given the statistics, because it's well known, it's out there, at least break down so that people can monitor it for themselves. I mean, it's no national security matter, so I don't see why the information is made available. Exactly.
All right, so I want to take this opportunity at this point to introduce Ryan Rosado. He's the Chief Policy Analyst over at BCCI. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thanks for joining the conversation.
Yes.
So we're talking cost of living, and we were waiting for some figures, right? April was putting a question to Giacomo earlier, and he's saying that you're the man with the numbers, right?
I try to be.
So let's zero back to that conversation so that we could get you involved here.
Yeah, I don't forget my question. No. It was more relatively on the diverse markets that we have in Belize, and if those salaries can compensate the high cost of living that we have in Belize.
Well, I'm not sure where the discussion was before, but one of the interesting things, so when you look at information, the SAB has, I think, from 2013 been compiling median and average wages, and the amount of people in different wage bands. They do it for, I think, September and April, the different labor force surveys. So depending which measure you use, you get slightly different results. But on average, what you see is between 2010 and 2020, you saw very little wage growth by whichever metric you use, right? But when you compare it to the past few years, I think we were looking at numbers yesterday, and it was around between 2020 and 2023, COVID and that huge inflationary spike, right? I think the median wage increased around 25%. So we have seen pretty huge wage growth in the last few years. The official statistics only go up until then, at least that SAB has available. But yeah, we have seen it. There is a relevant question of whether people actually feel that.
Well, that's always the question.
Yeah. That's the question. And then we have that includes 2023 and the Ukraine war crisis. Does that? We don't know what the data is showing now. What we do know is that we've had the minimum wage. We have had, it seems, at least I get the impression, I don't know how the president feels or how you guys feel or general public feel, but there seems to be increased pressure from different sectors, particularly in the BPO space, that have been putting upward pressure, not only in agriculture now, but even sectors like tourism, which is sort of interesting. So, yeah, I don't know, at least the official data-wise, it's a bit murky, but it seems to be the case that wages have been going up at reasonably steady rates.
It's just the cost of everything else that's going up that we can't compete with.
I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because then we could double back to other topics that April and I were discussing earlier, where we were saying that it would seem apparent that the younger workforce, if I could describe them as such, would be more drawn to the BPO sector than they would the agriculture sector, right? Because one, the prices, I guess, the salary or wages are more attractive based on what they're offering versus someone.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Okay. Some people are getting paid $10 an hour, $12 an hour in the BPO sector.
It's a sure income.
Yeah, but if you look at $5 as the minimum wage, right? Versus you getting $10 or $11.
No, I'm listening.
Why would you not? It's a no-brainer.
Plus commission and other benefits.
Exactly.
From my understanding, that side of the package is also quite competitive.
But that goes back to my initial question about diversity of the job market, because and this is just, I know that there is a membership within BCCI, and do you all do an assessment needs in terms of the jobs that are out there in Belize and what the private sector has to offer? Because majority of the times we have the students come out of university, and the minute they graduate, government job or BPO, right? That's where people are looking for jobs. Are they utilizing their skills in the proper way? Do we have enough diversity within the job market to say, I'll do something else?
Yeah, I don't know.
One of the things that we do know is that there's definitely a skills gap. So if you ask folks in education, the gap exists, and all other agencies that deals with trying to pairing folks with jobs in the market, and with that, I think a recent project such as the MCA is trying to accomplish, because there's a huge educational component, and within that, I think there's some investments that targets the skills gap, so that as folks come out of the training or school, that they can immediately get slot into a position in the private sector or an AM sector, so to speak.
Yeah, one of the other things, if I can add, is that I think the BCCI has done skills gaps analyses in the past. We haven't had one updated in a while, but at least in terms of official statistics, there is room, for example, for SAB to add skills gaps modules to the labor force service. One of the things that we've pushed for a while, and that kind of data would make all of us a bit more informed in terms of where the education system is doing well, what the employers' actual needs are, and what the reality on the ground is once people are in in the labor force. But there are data gaps like that that make the conversation harder to have. Because if we were to do research, or generally third-party researchers would do something. Yes, there are like established methodologies, but things like the labor force survey tend to be standardized. They're set by international statisticians. Yeah. So it's a common benchmark for everyone.
Yeah.
We just don't have those.
I think that it is, because then you wonder. Then you were just saying earlier that people are making the money. It's just things are expensive and we can't buy it. And then Sani and I were having this conversation as well, where does it make sense for us to continue to import so much?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those tough questions. Some things you have to import.
There's no way around it per se.
Yeah, I know at the regional level we've had goals of decreasing food dependence on foreign markets. So I think regionally there's been a push, especially in the last few years with all the trade uncertainty. I think there's been a push to bringing production more.
Local.
Yeah, bring more local, more regional. And then, in terms of progress, I'm not sure what your sense of the progress is.
That would be hard to gauge.
Yeah, that's a good question. But yeah, I mean, to round out the conversation then, right? So we were talking earlier about being able to manufacture certain products locally. But when you look at the cost of the inputs, for instance, right? If you look at the agriculture sector, it's very likely that the cost of fertilizer has gone up.
Yeah.
Because the conflict in Iran, a lot of the fertilizer comes from that side of the world too. So now when the farmer gets that bag of fertilizer at a new cost, that ultimately affects the cost that he puts out his product for, right? Because at the end of the day, that will likely be passed on to the consumer.
Yeah.
And it's cyclical if you look at it from that point of view. Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the issues when we're dealing with, global price shocks like these. From my understanding, some countries, I think it was India or some other more nearby, were facing huge threats of shortages to the extent that they affect us. I'm not too sure in terms of supply chain things, but yeah, those are all risks that we have to look at when we're analyzing these things.
But okay, as we wrap up, and my final question is solution this for me then, because if Belizeans can't keep up, what are we supposed to do?
That's a great question.
I think we need to contain our appetite. That's the short answer, because I mean, if you look at the rate and the items that are imported, I mean, it speaks to what it is that the consuming public has a heart for. So, and I think that is where we need to curb things.
Okay, wonderful. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I wish we had more time, right? Because this conversation, I feel like we get comments all the time about cost of living, what we can't buy, what we can afford. But please do come back and we can talk about it some more.
Indeed.
All right. All right. Thank you. Take a quick break now. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about journalism and the art of storytelling. We'll be right back.
Strength and integrity. Insurance. Your security, our priority.
With everything going on in a day, it's easy to overlook a renewal date. That's why Home Protector Insurance sends a simple reminder to help keep you on track. Home Protector Insurance, if it's worth something, insure it.
Prepare for the sweltering heat with a Rheem AC unit to keep you and your family cool and cozy. Get the recommended BTU for your bedroom or living room and enjoy complete comfort. You can also save some much-needed cash with an inverter unit, which provides superior energy efficiency. When the heat is on, stay cool with an affordable, dependable AC unit from Rheem. Available at Belize. Quality and savings.
Haven't updated your information recently? Well, kick off the new year as a winner. RF&G Insurance is giving you a free chance to win every month. Entering is easy. Just chat with us on WhatsApp and update your information. That's it. You'll be automatically entered into our monthly raffle for a chance to win awesome prizes. Don't wait. Message us on WhatsApp and update your info today. RF&G Insurance. It pays to get it right.
Belize wakes up connected to opportunity. And across our country, the work to keep Belize connected continues. SMART continues expanding our network across the country, bringing stronger coverage to more communities. With recent service enhancements in areas at Blue Creek and Progresso, Belize City, Orange Walk, and more on the way. We're bringing education closer to home, empowering entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, supporting industries that drive our economy, and keeping families connected wherever life takes them. With every expansion, we are investing in the infrastructure that moves Belize forward. Because connection isn't just about signal, it's about opportunity, progress, and the future we are building together. SMART, bringing people together.
Hi, I'm Ava.
And I'm Aiden. We're your AI guides to all things NHI.
In this video, we will guide you on how to become an NHI member. You, and if you have a child, must have a Social Security card. To get an SSB card is easy. Visit socialsecurity.org.bz/card-replacement to view the required documents that are needed.
There is a fee of only $5 Belize for a first-time issue and $26 Belize for a replacement card. Newborns can use their mother's SSB card for up to 2 months.
With your SSB card, you and all family members can register at any NHI contracted clinic of your choice.
You and members of your family can now access health care when needed.
Please note that once you are registered with a clinic, you must go to that same clinic when you need medical care. Look out for more NHI guides like this.
welcome back. Joining us for our second conversation this morning is career journalist Cecil Rosner. He's been here with us over the past few days, but we're going to be discussing journalism and the impact that this has in terms of informing and educating our society. Let's begin by perhaps you sharing a brief background with our viewers, the work that you do, where you're from, and so on.
Sure. I'm Canadian. I've been a lifelong journalist. I studied journalism and then I started working in print journalism in Canada. I spent most of my career with the CBC, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, which is a public broadcaster in Canada. It's the biggest news organization in Canada. We've got 7,500, 8,000 employees, and it stretches all across the country. And the CBC broadcasts in English and in French and in a number of Indigenous languages in Canada as well. Now I'm working with a nonprofit. It's called the Investigative Journalism Foundation. And we do journalism. We also curate databases, public interest databases, which interrogate power and influence in Canada. So we try to track who tries to influence government through political donations or lobbying or procurement. How does the government of Canada buy things? Who does it give contracts to? And I teach journalism at the university in Winnipeg, where I'm from, and I've written some books about journalism. So yeah, journalism has been my whole working life.
Why is it, for the benefit of our viewers, why is it important for us to have journalists who pursue transparency, truth, and accountability?
Well, people are trying to make sense of the world right now, I think. There is so much information coming at us from every direction. I think back, and I started my career before the internet was a thing. And journalists used to be the gatekeepers of information. It's no longer really the case. You can get information online from blogs, from podcasts, from social media. If you talk to a lot of young people today, they get the bulk of their information from social media, from Instagram or TikTok. But where is that information coming from? And there's a lot of attempts by companies, by governments, to try to manipulate the information. I wrote a book a couple of years ago called Manipulating the Message, How Powerful Forces Shape the News, because there is so much attempt right now to manipulate messaging with public relations, with influencers. So you need journalists. You need independent journalists, people who are not tied to one political party or one interest or one corporate interest, people who have the interests of the public at heart in order to try to figure out what is true.
How do you do that though? And then I'm very curious about the amount of resources you probably have to vet in order to produce one particular news item or one particular story, because even when you see interviews with political figures, you are not aware, you're not sure how much of the truth is being told to you. So how do you then ensure that what you bring out is accurate and is true?
No, I think that's the key point. Lots of journalists report on what people say, what the politicians say, or the events that happen. Or you might cover a press conference or a press release, and some journalists report that, but that's not doing enough. You have to try to verify the statements that are being made by the politicians, the facts, if they are facts that are being put out in those press releases and press conferences. So you need tools. You need knowledge, and you need some tools to try to figure out, how do I fact check this? I think good journalists are always demanding of their sources, like, what are your sources? How do you know that? Prove to me, show me the evidence that what you're saying is actually accurate, and then it's up to the journalist to try to verify. Just because the Prime Minister or a politician makes a statement, it doesn't make it true. We know this from time and time again. So who are the people? Most people trying to lead their lives are busy. They don't have time to fact check what every politician says. That's the job of a journalist. And it has to be done in an independent way and in a rigorous way.
Yeah. It also sounds, in certain spaces and in certain countries, very dangerous, though.
It is.
Oh my gosh. There's an organization called the Committee to Protect Journalists. They track the number of deaths of journalists every year. Last year there was something like 129 journalists who died.
Yeah.
The vast majority in Gaza. Over the last couple of years, there have been about 120 deaths of journalists killed by Israeli defense forces in Gaza over the last 2 years. So, in many other countries as well, Mexico, there have been many deaths of journalists in other parts of the world as well. So yeah, it can be deadly. There's other threats to journalists, even if death isn't one of them. There's threats of lawsuits. There's threats of imprisonment. There's threats of running afoul of the authorities in different ways. And journalists can pay a price there.
We live in what I describe as litigious times, right? Where everything is met with the threat of a lawsuit. Even if you've done extensive homework and crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's, the fact that you're exposing someone or something, right, immediately puts you under the microscope, or your work under the microscope, where people are saying, well, I'll take you to court, right? I think that's one of the, at least here in Belize, that's one of our day-to-day realities, that people are quick to threaten you with a lawsuit, right? Beyond that, what I want to ask, get your opinion, Cecil, do you think that journalism is a profession that is oftentimes unsung?
I do, actually. There's been a shrinkage of journalists over the years for reasons we can talk about. I mean, the big tech companies, Google and Facebook, have vacuumed up a lot of the revenue that media organizations used to depend on, advertising revenue. I started in newspapers way back when, and newspapers used to be very profitable because we had display advertising, classified advertising. You wanted to buy or sell anything, you put an ad in the newspaper. The whole business model for that kind of journalism has evaporated. And so there are fewer journalists around. And a lot of newspapers have folded. There have been layoffs, and a lot of young people now are shy about going into the profession of journalism because they're not sure there's a future in it. But we need journalists. Society needs journalists, and I feel that a lot of countries don't recognize the social importance of journalism, because in my view, governments need to support journalism financially. I think that should happen everywhere.
I work in the historical and cultural sector, and a lot of the times when we can't find archival data, or we can't find data that is documented or written somewhere, we look to the media. If the media didn't have it somewhere, there's so many items that we found that has been reported on either by ours or another media house in Belize. And so I think for historical record keeping, the media and journalists have served us, at least here in Belize, very, very well.
I've been really impressed, actually, in the short time I've been in Belize at the journalism that's done here in such a relatively small country. You have many active journalists, and journalists who aren't afraid to hold powerful interests to account, which is needed in all journalism.
I look at it, though, as somewhat of a revolving door, simply because for the years that I've been a journalist, I've seen many young reporters come and go. It's only a few of us that have really, stayed the course, so to speak. For whatever reason, they begin as reporters and perhaps get courted along the way and end up in communications for other big companies or for the government or what have you. And at least from my perspective, for me, it's a passion that I have, so that always stays with me. But I don't know that others come into the industry with that same passion or that love for what they do, as opposed to perhaps trying to make a quick name and then parlay that into something else, really, because, you know, establish themselves doing something else, so to speak. What are your thoughts on perhaps the same scenario taking place in Canada?
It's very similar in Canada. And I think it's very similar in many countries around the world. There's a power imbalance.
Yeah.
Companies can afford to pay people who work in their communications department better than most news organizations can afford to. Or a politician who is constantly dealing with the journalist who is making their life maybe a little bit uneasy might be tempted to say, hey, do you want to come work for me? I can pay you more. So there's a power and money imbalance there. That's a real problem, which is why I believe journalism needs to find different and diverse sources of revenue. The revenue model from the 70s and 80s and 90s is broken for journalism. So there's got to be some way to reestablish that power imbalance. You know, when I wrote my book, this is in the Canadian context, I looked at the statistics. In 1991, in Canada, there were about 13,000 reporters, okay? And there were about 21,000 people who worked in public relations and communications. And then 30 years later, the number of reporters had actually declined to about 11,000, so the numbers went down, even though the population massively went up over those 30 years. But the number of people working in communications and public relations went up to 160,000.
Wow.
So it used to be a ratio of 2 to 1, now it's a ratio of about 14 to 1. And imagine you have so many people with every company, with every politician trying to massage the message in a particular way, and you have fewer journalists trying to interpret the message and do what we were talking about earlier, fact check what the statements are. If it keeps going in this direction, look, the people with a lot of money and power are happy to see journalism die, because then they control all the levers of information. They don't care. I think it's the ordinary people who want to hold their politicians and powerful interests to account. They care.
Which is why we're the fifth estate, right?
Absolutely.
It's very, very scary to think about. But Cecil, we want to say thank you so much for joining us and so much for being with us for the past 3.5 days. We do hope that you return and extend your trip a little bit more.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us. All right, we take another quick break. When we return, it's all about celebrating 25 years of the National Health Insurance in Belize.
The future is calling. Belize Bank. Your future, our commitment.
Belize wakes up connected to opportunity. And across our country, the work to keep Belize connected continues. SMART continues expanding our network across the country, bringing stronger coverage to more communities. With recent service enhancements in areas at Blue Creek and Progresso, Belize City, Orange Walk, and more on the way. Where bringing education closer to home, empowering entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, supporting industries that drive our economy, and keeping families connected wherever life takes them. With every expansion, we are investing in the infrastructure that moves Belize forward. Because connection isn't just about signal, it's about opportunity, progress, and the future we are building together. SMART, bringing people together.
People don't travel with cash anymore. People would stop and they want to do a coffee tour, they want to buy coffee, but people don't have cash with them. Online banking facilitated a lot of what we do. I don't have to run to town and I have to use fuel and other expenses. Atlantic Bank actually approached us. They facilitated us with a bank account, which is something that we didn't have in hand, and then with a POS machine. I sit and sip my good cup of coffee and do payments.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Belize wakes up connected to opportunity. And across our country, the work to keep Belize connected continues. SMART continues expanding our network across the country, bringing stronger coverage to more communities. With recent service enhancements in areas at Blue Creek and Progresso, Belize City, Orange Walk, and more on the way. Where bringing education closer to home, empowering entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, supporting industries that drive our economy, and keeping families connected wherever life takes them. With every expansion, we are investing in the infrastructure that moves Belize forward. Because connection isn't just about signal, it's about opportunity, progress, and the future we are building together. SMART, bringing people together.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we are taking our conversation in a different trajectory for our third segment, and it's all about celebrating 25 years of the National Health Insurance in Belize. And joining us to talk to us all about it is Ms. Joanne Burke, and she is the Executive Director over at BFLA. Good morning.
Good morning.
And she has some of her colleagues joining her this morning. Dr. Ahmad Palacio, and he is a medical officer over at BFLA. Good morning.
Good morning.
And Ms. Angela Ebuta Humes, and she is the pharmacy manager over at BFLA.
Morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
And congratulations to 25 years of health insurance in Belize. What does that mean for Belize?
Okay, good morning. Thanks again, and congratulations, Belize. Right, and especially to the National Health Insurance Program, which is, of course, we must give recognition to the government of Belize, primarily the Ministry of Health and the Social Security. What the National Health Insurance, what is it for Belize? It is a program that benefits the populace of the country, right? We started BFLA as a primary care provider, PCP, from the inception 25 years ago. And what that did was to afford those persons, particularly in Belize district at the time, an opportunity for quality primary care. And primary care services that cost very little to them. Because what the structure of NHI is that whatever the cost of the service is, the consumer or the patient pays only 10%. And there is also a segment of the population that don't pay anything at all. For example, those over 60 don't pay, so they get it totally free. Pregnant women and children under 5. And so that's what NHI is for us. In addition to that, it holds, the structure of the program holds us as service provider accountable. There are certain standards when it comes to the delivery of healthcare that we must maintain. There is a annual assessment that is done by NHI, and we look at the facility. There are specific criteria that must be met. There are certain standards that must be met in order for us to qualify for our next contract year. There is also the medical audit. So like Dr. Palacio and the other service providers must ensure that they adhere to the national treatment protocols. And of course, when we look at the pharmacy, the dispensation of medication must be in accordance with the National Drug Formulary and what we have in place for that. In addition to that, though, the patients have a say, because there is also the annual patient satisfaction survey. So all that coupled together then helps NHI to determine the renewal of a contract, and secondly, whether or not we qualify for a bonus. Because along with the delivery of the services, every year we could get a bonus. And what I admire with that structure, or appreciate with that structure, is that the NHI is very specific as to how that breakdown of the bonus must be distributed. 80% must go back to staff. 10% in the competency building, so make sure that we do annual training and all of that, and then 10% comes back to the facility. And so like many other programs abroad and medical facilities abroad, we must ensure that service providers are trained annually. And part of the facility assessment includes coming in, going through those files, and making sure that who's supposed to be trained with basic, what we call it, BSL, life support and all that. And what it does also, based on the population that is being served, there are specific ratios. So for us at BFLA, we have 16,000 patients registered. We must have a population of at least 4 full-time doctors, because it's 4,000 population to 1 doctor. So it's very structured, and I think that's what it does. And I would want to hope that eventually, if we have that structure in place, even for the public primary care system, it can improve the quality of care being delivered.
So let's transition over to Ahmad then, and talk about your experience working with BFLA in terms of the delivery of NHI services.
Okay. Well, in my experience, so I'm a general practitioner, like I said, at BFLA. We deliver mainly primary healthcare services. On a daily basis, I would see patients, both young and old, varying from common day problems, communicable diseases, things that regular people would have on a regular day basis. Fever, vomiting, diarrhea, those kind of things, the flu, to patients who come with what we would term as chronic illnesses, diabetes, hypertension, people who do follow up in terms of treatment for different cancers and these kind of things, like Ms. Kim mentioned, depending on the patient, we have a lot of focus, especially on the chronic patients, as these are people that we tend to see routinely, whether it's sometimes due to follow up on their medication, or as Ms. Keane also stated, we do tend to do follow up with them from time to time when it comes to certain things. So part of what NHI requires, not requires, but is a requirement actually, that every person who is a chronic patient has certain things done from time to time. So if you're somebody with diabetes or with hypertension or one of these things, they like that you do your annual blood test.
Yeah.
It's a general blood test basically according to what you would, your illness, which basically would give you a good idea more or less of where you are currently. So if you're a diabetic, you would do your HbA1c, you get your sugar test. You get to check your blood level. You would see how the kidney is functioning. We would look at the urine test as well to make sure that you're compensated, right? Likewise, if you're hypertensive, there's studies that we do for that as well. We repeat X-rays. We see how the heart is doing. We do the lab test as well. We repeat the EKG. These are things that we also follow up with patients, especially that are chronic, And then as well, we do tend to make sure and check and revise to see if the dosage of the medication is effective or is working or for the patient. Typically, they do like that, we have patients coming at least around 4 times a year. So that I believe that's supposed to be an adequate time frame to more or less make sure everything is going, right.
A quarterly visit, so to speak.
They can come in, of course, at any other point in time if they have, something else that happens, maybe a cough or cold or whatever, or if they feel like their illness is decompensated. However, that's what we try to do with them for the most part, And part of making sure that these things happen is like what Ms. Keaton said, corresponding what we have to do to make sure that we fulfill our qualifications for the NHI service.
I feel like the layout or the structure, of NHI definitely makes people want to visit the doctor. We have a very taboo society that doesn't want to see the doctor until they're ill, right?
Definitely.
So chronic checkups and so forth to ensure that they're progressing and so on is very important. But let's get you in on the conversation, Ms. Angela, and your role in BFLA.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. My role is as pharmacy manager, but I work as a pharmacist, always a pharmacist. And what that looks like, medication expert, but along with my other colleagues, and not limited to only the doctor and the nurses, because we have other, when you have a nutritionist, all of that incorporated in, especially in the BFLA setting. And so basically, as the pharmacist of BFLA, we're leaning into our second year NHI service provider, and it's very interesting because we are given the generic formulary drugs from Social Security NHI, and so with that we provide these medications to the population, like Ms. Burke said, that they only would have paid a 10%. So if it's $10, they would pay like $1 if it comes up to that, And so what I like with it, it is consistent, that we never stock out of the medication. It's high quality medication, and like I said, it's from the formulary. So it's right there what Ministry of Health provides to the population of Belize. And so when you look at protocols and what is delivered, that our population can get that. And so as a pharmacist, we main goal that we have one bird's eye view on the medications, the history of our patients, and make sure they get the safest medication as possible.
25 years, right? It's a milestone.
Yes.
But I presume that it wasn't all a smooth ride getting to where we are 25 years later. What perhaps were some of the challenges that you guys faced in terms of perhaps either establishing the services to where they are today, or perhaps looking at changes in government, for instance? Maybe that had some bearing on how quickly the program got off the ground or how strong the program is today.
Well, I want to address the last point. In terms of the changes in government, I can't say that there were any negative impact. As a matter of fact, for this present administration, what I can give recognition for is the rollout.
Yeah.
Right? Because yes, whilst the rollout was in discussion for some time now, even with the previous administration, I think this present administration actually made it happen.
Yeah.
And being able to creatively identify the source of the funds to allow that. I think it's the Bolido money, right? And so yes, that happened. And also with the increase in the population being served, because first we were at 12,000. And so for years, we had only 4 primary care providers, which was the BFLA, the Maritime Robbers, which is government, Belize Healthcare, and BMA. Now we have a number of primary care providers. BFLA, we proud ourselves of being the only NGO that is a part that provide the whole comprehensive package. Now, in terms of the other challenges, of course, Belize has been affected by the recruitment of our doctors and nurses and other professionals, health professionals. So BFLA is not spared of it at all. We have to be competing with the private sector as well as the public sector. And so therefore, because we have, for example, the contract, we have 16,000, we must have 4 full-time doctors. Right. We try to maintain that. But then when doctor is ill or they have to go to a conference to meet another criteria for continuing education, it means that I have to find a replacement for that doctor. And not only BFLA has to do that, Matron Robert has to do that, BMA has to do that, because and the same with the nurses. For example, we have the maternal and child health program, which it requires either a public health or a rural health nurse, because of the fact that they are the special nurses that are trained in understanding immunization and the cold chain and all that. So public health and rural health nurses, there's a scarcity.
Yeah.
Right? We look at a specialty such as obstetric and gynecology. We have maybe only 2 or 3 OBGYNs in Belize City. Wow. Right? And so those are the challenges. For BFLA specific, we had to change location because we used to be on Mahogany Street. Yeah. And we outgrew that space. And so we were lucky, and that's what COVID did for us, that we finally got the permission from NHI to relocate our clinic. We moved a little bit away from our catchment, but we are providing the services now from our existing location. What is initially, it was a challenge because I mentioned earlier that there are specific criteria and what we call KPIs, key performance indicators. Yeah. And because of the zone that we serve, we have a younger population.
Okay.
Right? Because we serve more the newer area of Belize City, which includes Lake Eye, Gungulum, and all those areas where you have the younger population, which means then that we will have more demands on maternal and child care. And it means then to meet the criteria that we have, for example, early booking.
Yeah.
So we have to catch these young ladies in their first trimester to bring them into, and it was not a culture for us.
Yeah.
So it means then sensitize. Exactly. So those are some of the challenges. And like you mentioned earlier, we don't have a culture of visiting the doctor unless we are ill.
Yeah.
And then a KPI, like doctor said, even though for our chronics, you might not be feeling ill, but you need to come in.
But for 25 years of national health insurance in Belize, I feel like we definitely reached a milestone. If you're moving, if you're changing, if you have to change your environment, that progress in all its positive forms.
Yeah.
So we just have to say thank you to all of our healthcare providers for the accommodation, for the access to healthcare for our Belizean populace.
I want to say, and I mean, for me sitting in the executive chair at BFLA, looking at trends, I can say that we, because of the efficiency in the management of the chronics, for example, we are seeing less amputations due to, as a result of complications due to diabetes. So it means that we are improving on our management.
Right.
We are seeing decrease in maternal mortality. And of course, that is coupled because of many other things. But because we see a culture in health-seeking behavior being changed.
Yeah, but it just means that people have access to the services now. So that is definitely an accomplishment. But we do have to wrap up our conversation this morning. Thank you all once again. Congratulations on 25 years. And we can't wait to see what's next in the progress.
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right, we take a quick break. When we return, it's all about Southern Emergency Services on life skills that save.
For everyday life. But behind every outlet, a lot is happening to bring you safe, reliable, and sustainable energy. Let's start at the beginning. Independent power producers across Belize generate electricity using a mix of renewable and non-renewable resources. Electricity travels across a network of high-voltage transmission lines capable of transmitting electricity across long distances. Electricity then reaches your nearest substation, where it is adjusted to a lower voltage, making it safe to travel on the distribution lines you see in your community. From there, electricity makes its final journey from the distribution lines to your home, providing you with safe and reliable power when you need it. Belize Electricity Limited. We continue to serve you.
We at Fulltech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Fulltech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
Your security, our top priority. We guard your world with strength and integrity. From home, cars and rentals, business too. We make protection simply easy for you. BB Insurance, trusted and true. Clear policies assured. Fast claims too. No appointment needed. Just swing by. Locations countrywide, where peace
Insurance. Your security, our priority.
Joining us for our fourth conversation. It's all about the International Women in Maritime Day. And joining us to talk about this wonderful day and recognition is Kenisha Allen, and she is the Director of Operations, HR, and Marketing over at Imarbe. Good morning. And she also has joining her colleague Jana Hijazi, and she's a Seafarer Officer over at Imarbe. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
All right. Happy International Women's Day in Maritime.
Yes, we're here to talk about the International Day for Women in Maritime. That is celebrated May 18th. We're a bit early.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. A couple of weeks. You have come back the day before.
Yeah. So there are so many things that we do here in Belize to ensure that we're making awareness and celebrating this day. It's something that starts from the International Maritime Organization, which is our regulatory body, kind of UN based.
Yeah.
And like I said, we do something every year. So this year, the theme for 2026 and 2027 is From Policy to Practice, Advancing Gender Equality for Maritime Excellence. So what we have done at Imarbe is we did an educational outreach program, From Policy to Practice, Powering the Next Generation, Maritime in Action. So we invited tertiary level students to our head office. We gave them a little bit of understanding of what Imarbe does, which is we register vessels internationally under the Belize flag. So we walk them through our different departments and the responsibilities that that goes along with the job. And as well, we let them know about the opportunities that exist not only for women, but of course highlighting women, but for any young person or professional who's interested in joining the maritime sector.
Why is it important for there to be a focus on gender equality within the maritime space?
So in reality, both Ms. Jana Hijazi and I are part of the Women in Maritime Association Caribbean, the Belize chapter, WIMAC. Yes. So they did WISTA, which is another organization for women, International and Trading Association. They did a survey along with IMO in 2021 and 2024, and it highlighted that for seafarers, about 1% of the 1.89 million are women. And you find that yes, and you find that in the offices, about 19 to 26% in the Caribbean are women. So it's a male-dominated sector. We get kind of used to it, but at the same time, we want to ensure that year after year, more women feel that there's space for them.
I like this this conversation because I don't think we take time to understand what all goes in the maritime field. We often see like Coast Guards, of course, and we think, okay, that's like the epitome of what maritime is, but there's so many other layers that go into the work. Let's talk about your job, Jana, because I don't know what a seafarer officer is.
Okay, so seafarer officer, I work under the IMO and ILO sector. So this is where we look at different cases, abandonment cases of seafarers who are at sea, because many of the times they're seafarers who don't get paid for the work that they've been doing all month long on the ships, which are becoming higher in the upcoming years. I also work on different certificates that I issue, manning certificates, for example, where we have like a set standard of how many people are supposed to be working on board based on the ship's GT and the KW. And there's other certificates that I also issue.
I know we're throwing a lot of acronyms
at
you today.
I'll Google it later. But no, I like I said, it's nice to hear it. I know that when you said just now, we're already used to it, but I feel like there is that space where you don't have to be. These are certain jobs that anybody can do, right? Whether
Yeah.
you're a male or a female.
Yeah, and that's
so
why,
the recognition is very
yeah.
important. You were saying.
Yeah, that's why we want to stress that Maritime have different roles and different departments for people with different skills. You know, many people think that in order to be in Maritime, they need to, you know, be working at sea or all of that. But we also have Belize Port Authority. We have Imarbe as a flag state, and in these two sectors and many other maritime sectors here in Belize, we offer different roles, and I think many Belizeans could fit into these roles.
Great. So apart from the education and of course publication of International Day for Women in Maritime, what else are you guys doing?
We're also doing She at Sea, which is a maritime event held on May 18th at the Old Belize at the Jungle Pavilion. This is where we have different professionals, maritime professionals, who will be sharing their knowledge to students, even older people about maritime. This is an event just to bring together everybody and to share our knowledge about maritime. We also will be presenting awards and different stuff like that. We also have Belize Port Authority who will be sponsoring this event. It's hosted by WEMAC, but it's sponsored by the Belize Port Authority. And we're open to be having more sponsors to this event.
I like it. Marketing plug. Just give us a little sponsorship. I love it. What else are we doing, Kanisha?
So as I mentioned, we had the engagement with tertiary level students. That's still ongoing. We were also part of the BCCI link up in Belmopan. Again, sharing the vacancies we have currently, and of course letting people know we exist.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah, so as Ms. Jana mentioned, we have the She at Sea. That's a WEMAC Belize chapter initiative. So apart from being Imarbe, we're also representing the Belize chapter as well. And there are tickets available on sale currently. We're encouraging everyone to come out and engage with us, learn more about what we do, even if they don't see themselves working in it now. With this information, they may see that future because there are many career opportunities.
Yeah, I really like that. Well, ladies, I would encourage you to come back maybe closer to May 18th, you know, and let us know more about what you do. I would love to hear more about the GTs and the KQs and all of that stuff.
The IMO and ILOs.
ILOs and so forth, because I think that it is important that we know what is out there for us. So thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we are going to take another quick break, our final break, and we'll be back with the Southern Emergency Services on life skills that save.
With everything going on in a day, it's easy to overlook a renewal date. That's why Home Protector Insurance sends a simple reminder to help keep you on track. Home Protector Insurance, if it's worth something, insure it.
Prepare for the sweltering heat with a Rheem AC unit to keep you and your family cool and cozy. Get the recommended BTU for your bedroom or living room and enjoy complete comfort. You can also save some much-needed cash with an inverter unit, which provides superior energy efficiency. When the heat is on, stay cool with an affordable, dependable AC unit from Rheem. Available at Benny's. Quality and savings.
Haven't updated your information recently? Well, kick off the new year as a winner. RF&G Insurance is giving you a free chance to win every month. Entering is easy. Just chat with us on WhatsApp and update your information. That's it. You'll be automatically entered into our monthly raffle for a chance to win awesome prizes. Don't wait. Message us on WhatsApp and update your info today. RF&G Insurance. It pays to get it right.
Belize wakes up connected to opportunity. And across our country, the work to keep Belize connected continues. SMART continues expanding our network across the country, bringing stronger coverage to more communities. With recent service enhancements in areas at Blue Creek and Progresso, Belize City, Orange Rock, and more on the way. We're bringing education closer to home, empowering entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, supporting industries that drive our economy, and keeping families connected wherever life takes them. With every expansion, we are investing in the infrastructure that moves Belize forward. Because connection isn't just about signal, it's about opportunity, progress, and the future we are building together. SMART, bringing people together.
Hi, I'm Ava.
And I'm Aiden. We're your AI guides to all things NHI.
In this video, we will guide you on how to become an NHI member. You, and if you have a child, must have a Social Security card. To get an SSB card is easy. Visit socialsecurity.org.bz/card-replacement to view the required documents that are needed.
There is a fee of only $5 Belize for a first-time issue and $26 Belize for a replacement card. Newborns can use their mother's SSB card for up to 2 months.
With your SSB card, you and all family members can register at any NHI contracted clinic of your choice.
You and members of your family can now access health care when needed.
Please note that once you are registered with a clinic, you must go to that same clinic when you need medical care. Look out for more NHI guides like this.
The future is calling. Belize Bank. Your future, our commitment.
Belize wakes up connected to opportunity. And across our country, the work to keep Belize connected continues. SMART continues expanding our network across the country, bringing stronger coverage to more communities. With recent service enhancements in areas at Blue Creek and Progresso, Belize City, Orange Rock, and more on the way. We're bringing education closer to home, empowering entrepreneurs to grow their businesses, supporting industries that drive our economy, and keeping families connected wherever life takes them. With every expansion, we are investing in the infrastructure that moves Belize forward. Because connection isn't just about the city, it's about opportunity, progress, and the future we are building together. SMART, bringing people together.
Welcome back, and joining us for our final conversation. It's all about Southern Emergency Services and some of the trainings that they offer on life skills, life-saving skills, really. So joining us on the couch, we have primary care paramedic and manager and instructor, Yesenia Trapp. Good morning.
Good morning.
And she has with her a trainee over at the Southern Emergency Service, and that's Mr. Rancelio Chug. Good morning. And joining us in just a few, we have Mr. Tony Ishigiri, and he is a primary care paramedic and instructor over at Southern Emergency Services. Lady and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you so much for being here. And I know that we have a little bit of a demonstration and our training in a bit, but let's talk about the Southern Emergency Services and some of the trainings and demonstrations that you all offer.
So, Southern Emergency Services is EMS system, emergency medical system. We're located in Hopkins, Hopkins Junction, the entrance of Hopkins. We're there a little bit of 9 years since we're in service. So, Southern Emergency Services is one of the 2 training centers in the country. So, what type of job we do? We respond to RTAs, we do house calls, we do intra-facility transportation. But one of the most important part of EMT is to educate the public. So one of our job is to visit the schools and train them about basic first aid and basic life support. At the moment we have EMT training, almost at the end.
Yes.
Almost. The guys are surviving right now.
I was going to ask Mr. Chu if you can tell us a little bit about your experiences so far.
Well, my experience has been great. Prior to going to schools, I was already a medic in the BDF.
Okay.
So now I'm just enhancing my knowledge more in the civilian aspect of life saving. And it is a great opportunity to be there and learning a lot.
What has the experience been like for you so far doing this particular course?
The experience is, like I said, is like it widened my knowledge, because from now I need to take care of from the neonatal to the geriatrics. But prior to it, before I only deal with adults, but now my knowledge has been enhanced. It's wider now, so I'm ready to step on it now.
What are some of the life-saving skills or knowledge that every civilian should at least know?
As basic, you guys should know how to treat wounds, how to stop the bleeding is the most important. We have so much still to do in the country. They have still people who don't know that it's so basic to stop the bleeding, you know, just apply pressure, and all depends of the area that you have the cut, then you have to apply a tourniquet, and the tourniquet should be the last resort. But we still have a lot of work to do in the country to take that knowledge to everybody, and for that reason, Southern Emergency Services take these classes to the schools, to the teachers, to the Standard 6 students. We have different programs. We have the summer program whereby we engage students from Standard 6 to Fort Farm. So they get a basic first aid class, 2 days class, and they get a basic first aid kit. So they take home, because they have basic stuff that you should have at home.
Do you find that students are particularly receptive to this kind of training?
Yes.
These are the same kids that go swimming, same kids that perhaps ride bikes and stuff like that. Things happen, right?
Yeah.
So they need to be able to learn how to take care of themselves and each other.
And that's one of our goals. We want, in the next 10 years, we want to have better civilians, we say it that way, with more knowledge, at least basic knowledge.
Yeah.
I usually tell the trainees the most silly way to die is choking.
Yeah.
And if there's no one in the room who knows to do abdominal thrust, that's it for you. You know, and these courses, it's okay to take it every 2 years because they review doctors, nurses, surgeons, they sit and review what's good, what's not good. Right now we're doing 2025 version of basic first aid, and that changed. Now you have to give back slabs.
Yeah.
You know, that was removed, I believe, 10 years ago. But they bring it back.
I always
wasn't there the Heimlich maneuver?
Yes, yes. It was called the Heimlich maneuver, and Mr. Heimlich passed away. The family claimed the name. So
I find that for EMTs, and I think it's probably the most impressive thing about you, is the manner where you keep your head very, very leveled in the case of an emergency.
Yes.
I think that I don't know how you know things happen and so forth. So I don't know how you're able to stay level-headed. But apart from training and so forth, I know you all do some demonstrations at schools to kind of educate students and so forth. So I know we have Mr. Tony Ishigiri over on that side. Mr. Tony, I know you're there to assist Rescue Annie in a particular crisis. Talk to us about what's going on over there.
Okay. The mannequin that we're presently using is very accurate, very smart, capable of sharing real-time feeds for resuscitation process. So it doesn't allow you to, it allows you to confirm your mistakes. You're able to do better adjustment, fix your correction, because, hey, when doing chest compression, some people feel that they're doing it well on a regular mannequin. But for Rescue Annie, it can share exactly the depth, the rate, how much breath you give in accuracy, your interventions, and even when it comes to certain procedures.
Okay, so let's see. Rescue Annie just get in an accident and she's flat on the ground unconscious.
She's coding.
She's coding.
So when it comes to this portion, normally I will be able to share with you shortly.
Yes.
I just need to do some more configuration.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So while Mr. Tony is fixing up Rescue Annie,
she's the terror for doctors and nurses
She
when
is
we
the
do
terror.
BLS. Yes.
Okay.
It's not us rating them. It's the mannequin. So the mannequin give you a grade.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's okay. I try not to be creeped out, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so but then this smart mannequin really, like Mr. Ishigiri just shared with us, tells you your progress or what you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of this, because of course when we do cardiopulmonary resuscitation on a real person, we're not gonna get that feedback.
Yeah.
For sure, right?
The person will more than likely be unconscious, right?
For sure, yes. We have different mannequins, and I tell the trainees, well, there's some lights on the shoulder. You're going to see red if you're doing bad, green if you're doing an excellent chest compression, and yellow to slow, you're going to slow, whatever. But on a real person, you're not going to see the light.
Yeah.
So the only thing you can do is take this training and practice, so your brain create memory muscle. So when you have the emergency, you mentally prepare to save someone's life.
Yeah.
So with Rescue Annie, like I mentioned, she's the terror of the doctors and nurses, because when we do training, we give exam, but also we use Rescue Annie, who will give a final grade. Yeah.
But that tells you that gives you, like you said, muscle memory, but accuracy in the case of an emergency, you don't really. No, you don't have there is no excuse for failure. There is no excuse for anything. You have to be able to do it. Right? So I know. Are we ready? Okay.
We'll need one person for a demonstration.
Right.
Okay, sure.
it's a two-man job, no?
It's a two-man job.
Over the next slide.
Okay.
Okay, connected. I'm ready for a session.
Okay.
Okay, so what you're doing, what the two medics are doing, is position yourself right next to the person, right?
Yeah.
If you're too away, you have high chances of fracture the ribs and cause more damage. And for that reason, we let them know that you need to position yourself right next to the person, compress deep at 100 to 120 compressions per minute.
Wow.
Yes, but it's highly impossible for us to keep compressing. So we divide it in cycles of 5 cycles of chest compressions, followed by the 2 rescue breaths, and then you go back and do the chest compressions. And every 2 minutes, you check for a pulse, right?
Okay.
So I usually tell responders, when you guys perform chest compressions and do rescue breaths, you become the heart and the lungs of these persons. They have high chances, you perfusing the vital organs, so the person have high chances to live, until more advanced personnel arrive to your rescue, to your aid.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is she good? Did she live?
Well, compressing at that depth, at that rate, definitely,
Yes.
right? So it is physically demanding, to do this type of resuscitation for us as EMTs, as paramedic. We have to keep ourselves in shape. We have to keep studying. For us, it's never a ending on the study part. We have to keep taking training. For these gentlemen, they always on checking, because we do also apply medication, so we have to take pharmacology classes. We have to keep enhancing our skills.
And I know you said that this is the end of the training, but do you guys do cohorts? How do you offer these trainings?
So we usually do one time for the year, because these trainees, they have to do rotations in hospitals, at our station. But right now we're going to have another training with the fire department. I mean, the country of Belize is moving forward, right? I know we're going to see more of ambulances everywhere in the rural areas, because the fire department is moving, taking a step, adding medical to their curriculum. That's where we, the Center of Emergency Services, step in, and we're going to assist them, providing training, making the best medics. Yes.
All right. Well, I think do we have one more demonstration, or is Rescue Annie good to go?
We're good.
We're good.
We're good.
All right. Well, thank you all for coming
Thank you
in,
too.
joining us, giving us this demonstration. As you mentioned, it is extremely important for us as civilians to know basic
basic first aid.
First aid.
It's a must.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, and we want to say a big thank you to all of our guests that joined us this morning on the couch, and a big thank you to you, our viewers, because without you, this would not be possible. It is May 4th, and we do have a very special birthday shout out to Kelly. Happy birthday, Kelly. It's her 11th birthday today, from, of course, your mama Whitney and her family. Happy birthday, Kelly. We hope you enjoy your very, very special day. And Kelly's normally comes on the show every now and again, so she knows the set here. Happy birthday, Kelly's. And of course, a happy birthday to anyone else that's celebrating a birthday today. And if you have a birthday shout out or just a question or a comment, you can drop us a line here at oye@greaterbelize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, and our highlights on Instagram at OYE Belize. You can also catch us on our TikTok, that's openyouryes.bz, and you can send us a WhatsApp, that's 675-2555. But please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right.
Till then, keep your eyes, your minds,
And your hearts open.
See you soon, Belize. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Goodbye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and SMART, bringing people together.